Hi, Year 8. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to your next lesson, as I know some of you are working from home. So this lesson is here to be completed on Thursday, the 18th of March, 2021. And we're focusing on some key topic knowledge recapping. All right, so with this would be your first English lesson back in school, and we would just be recapping some key information from the past few lessons and what you've been doing in the evil and eccentricities units so far, just to ensure that we all have the knowledge needed to move forward. So please do follow through with this lesson. Pay attention to the information that's being provided and also complete the tasks as directed. So you're going to want to make sure you're prepared, make sure you've got your pen, paper, etc. And you might want to get that date and title written down. And once you've done that, have a go at the questions there on the screen. I've given you some Mastery Monday questions to begin with, and it asks you to punctuate these sentences correctly. And you've got 4 sentences there, all right, requiring you to use a mixture of Mastery Monday techniques. So if you'd like to pause the video, have a go at those questions there and play again when you are ready to go through the answers. Okay, hopefully by now you have managed to have a go at each of those questions. So now I'm just going to run through the answers. So if it's something you weren't sure on, please either edit your answer or correct it if needed. And if you got it right, give yourselves a tick and well done you for doing so. So we need to punctuate these sentences correctly. Number 1 there. Even though she is my best friend, I am annoyed at her. What we're looking at in this sentence is we're looking at a subordinate clause being included. And we can tell that exists in this because it starts with the phrase, even though. Even though she is my best friend, I am annoyed at her. Our main clause in that sentence is I am annoyed at her. That's the main piece of information we need to know. But that phrase at the start, even though she is my best friend, is adding additional information. It is a subordinate clause. And when subordinate clauses feature at the start of sentences, we need to include commas after them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a comma after the word friend, and then that one is punctuated correctly. Number 2, over by the bench, there is a rose bush. In this example, there is a rose bush is the main piece of information I need to know. That's my independent clause. And over by the bench at the start there is a phrase that's telling me where it happened. It's telling me where the rose bush is. So what that is a prepositional phrase. It is a phrase that is telling me where something is. And because that phrase features at the start of the sentence, I need to put a comma after it. So a comma goes after the word bench. Number 3, on Wednesday morning, I will go back to school. Now, I will go back to school is your independent clause there. That's the main piece of information. And the phrase that says on Wednesday morning is adding additional information about when you will go back to school. So that is a phrase that tells you when something happens, all right, otherwise known as a temporal clause. In which case, if a temporal clause or a phrase that tells you when something happens features at the start of a sentence, you need to put a comma after it. So the same rule applies again here. And then finally, number 4, I'm so glad my team won, said George. What we have here is somebody saying something, so we need to look at including some speech marks and the other punctuation that comes with it to ensure this sentence is punctuated correctly. So, I'm so glad my team won is what George says, so I need to put speech marks at the front. And then at the end, before I put my next set of speech marks, I need to put my comma and my quotation marks there. Okay, you might have also decided to put an exclamation mark in there, which is fine, all right, so long as that piece of punctuation comes before the closing quotation marks. And then we don't need a capital letter for said because it's still part of the sentence, and a full stop at the end. So as I said, mark your work, see how you did there. If you need to pause the video again to do so, feel free to do that. But otherwise, I am going to move on to the next part of today's lesson. As I said, today's lesson is focusing on some key topic knowledge recapping, revisiting some prior content that has been covered, just to ensure we all know all the things we need to know to move forward in the unit. So today's aims are to recap what the aims of this topic are, to revisit contextual detail relevant to the topic, and to recap the text already covered as part of the unit, and to have a brief look at those. So a few weeks ago, you started this unit, Explorations in Evil and Eccentricity. And the big ideas that we wanted you to get by the end of this topic involve the fact that writers are highly skilled at exploring the human condition and the darker sides of human nature. This is the big idea that we're looking at throughout this unit. So, and a brief snapshot of the things that you will learn about. We're going to talk about Britain's most infamous murderer, one of the most popular genres of the 19th century, the Gothic genre, the 19th century's most popular detective, Sherlock Holmes, interesting literary creations from the 19th century, such as Mr. Hyde and the Mad Hatter, the dubious popularity of the freak show, and the wonderful narrative poetry that was popular at the time. And one of the key focuses in this unit is the human condition. The human condition refers to the characteristics, key events, and situations which compose the essentials of human existence, such as birth, growth, emotionality, aspiration, conflict, and mortality. And we'll begin to explore how writers present the human condition by looking at all of these texts set in the 19th century. But first things first, we need to recap that information to gain an insight into what life was like at the time. Right, so we're going to go through this briefly because I am aware this is content that has been covered before, but again it's worth recapping just to ensure everybody has the same level of knowledge before we move forward to new content. So an introduction to the 19th century. The 19th century saw large amounts of social change. Slavery was abolished. There was a massive urbanisation and industrialisation. Industrialisation means when areas begin to become very popular with industry, have things like factories and places where products can be manufactured all being built up in one place. And this led to much higher levels of productivity, profit and prosperity. Okay, a time of invention and growth, but also of poverty and cruelty. There were two sides to this. And this all links to the Industrial Revolution, which is an event that occurred between 1760 and 1840. And this was characterised by the movement from the country to the city, as a system of agriculture and farming was replaced by the manufacture of goods and materials in factories. The majority of people used to work on the land in the countryside through farming, and a lot of products were made by hand. All right, but then all of this machinery was invented, factories came into play, and things could be made a lot faster. So there was a big change in England at this time. And this also overlaps with the Victorian era, okay? And this is all contextual knowledge that will come in handy for the text that we look at. All right, it's called the Victorian era because Queen Victoria was queen at the time. This is between 1837 and 1901. She was the reigning monarch. And at this time, Britain was one of the world's superpowers, the British Empire. It means that many other countries in the world were sort of under British rule. Britain's power was really widespread, despite there being social inequality at home. That's something to bear in mind. But this era was definitely shaped by the Industrial Revolution and being able to produce things at such a fast rate. Significant inventions that occurred during this time: in 1800 you had the electric battery, 1814 Stephenson's steam locomotive, 1837 the telegraph, followed by the sewing machine, the typewriter, the telephone, Coca-Cola, a camera, and by 1889 you had the automobile, or the first cars. As well as this being an exciting time of discovery and progress, it was a worrying time for many who felt that advances in science and technology would lead to corruption and would harm nature. And the other thing that's going to interest us here is this link to Darwin's Of the Origin of Species. You may have heard of this book before. It's when Charles Darwin, within this book, after doing a lot of scientific research on nature, he discovered that animals and humans and whatnot, he basically discovered evolution and how people and animals would change, and their biology would change, and their features and characteristics would change based on their surroundings. So On the Origin of Species, which was published on the 24th of November 1859, is a work of scientific literature by Charles Darwin that is considered to be the foundation of evolutionary biology. Darwin's book introduced the scientific theory that populations evolve over the course of generations through a process of natural selection. But Darwin's discoveries created doubt amongst the British population, as it essentially went against Christian belief. Okay, the Christian belief that there was one God who made everything on earth. Darwin was coming along and saying, no, hang on a minute, people and different types of species change over time as a result of nature. Many people began to question their faith and the religious life they had been following. And again, this is just information that comes in handy when we look at some of the texts we've been studying. With all of that in mind, then, your next task is to do this. I want you to create a mind map about the 18th century using the questions surrounding the bubble in the middle there to help guide you, all right, as to the sort of information that you should be including. Questions such as what was abolished in the 19th century? What was the Industrial Revolution characterised by? Who was the reigning monarch at the time? What types of inventions were created and why were they significant? And what impact did Darwin's On the Origin of Species have on the population? So pause the video here, complete that task. If you need to rewind at all to go back and recap some information to help you with this task, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, press play again once you are ready. Okay, due to time constraints, I am going to have to switch to create a second video for this lesson now. I will go through the answers to all of these questions then, okay? So please now switch to the second video for today and we'll go through the answers to these questions around your mind map. Thank you.